Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show's Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod, email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. To support the show, go to paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I'm on Cash App and Venmo at The Joey Harris. And folks, back again, and today we look at King of the Ring 1994 from the WWF. King of the Ring 94 took place on June 19th, 1994 from the Baltimore Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. There were 12,000 in attendance and the buy rate was 185,000. And folks, this is the Art Donovan show. Good old Art. Now let me tell you my crazy dream about this show. Now everybody ridiculed all the stuff that he was saying, but in my dream, the one person who liked it was at home at the time, and that was Vince McMahon. And because he liked it, he was convinced that Art Donovan was the best person ever, and he was going to make him the best commentator ever. So in my dream, he put him on everything. That by SummerSlam, he was the newest color commentator, and when he comes out, the crowd is chanting Art, like Art, Art, Art. And it was the craziest thing. I don't know what I ate that day, but that was some dream. We start out with our intro. Jeff Jarrett interrupts the setup, followed by the rest of the heels. Ricky Medlock of Blackfoot does the national anthem and does a great job. Gorilla Monsoon, Randy Savage, and Art Donovan are the announcers for the event. Oh boy, here we go. First round match, Bam Bam Bigelow with Luna Vachon versus Razor Ramon. The bell rings and Bigelow attacks Ramon from behind when Ramon threw his toothpick at Luna. Bigelow scoop slams Ramon. Bigelow with a falling headbutt and a leg drop. Bigelow misses a diving headbutt. Ramon comes back. He posts Bigelow in the corner. Ramon gets a 2 count. Ramon with a leg lock, but Bigelow comes back. Ramon with a series of clotheslines, but can't get Bigelow down. Bigelow throws Ramon out. Bigelow beats Ramon down while Luna distracts referee Earl Hebner. Bigelow throws Ramon in and gets a 2 count. Bigelow works on the lower back. Bigelow with a torture rack. To avoid alcohol poisoning, take a shot now for all of Art's questions as he asked if Ramon was dead. Bigelow slams Ramon down, and Ramon responds with a belly-to-back suplex. A double count going. They trade blows. Bigelow misses a corner charge. Bigelow hits a back elbow as Ramon was going for the razor's edge. Ramon gets the pin after Bigelow misses a moonsault. Todd Pettengill is with Mabel and IRS. IRS says he's going to take out Mabel. Mabel says that's never going to happen. IRS versus Mabel. IRS comes to the ring and does his tax cheat bit. The referee is Joey Morello. This is his final pay-per-view as he would tragically die in a car crash a couple of weeks after this. Oscar wraps Mabel to the ring. IRS goes to attack Mabel right away, but Mabel gets the advantage. Mabel with a suplex and a fireman's carry. All Mabel so far, but IRS is coming back. He gets a high knee to Mabel and hits a series of shots. IRS drops an elbow. Mabel gets a cradle for a 2 count. IRS with a rear chin lock. Mabel is struggling to get out. He slams IRS back. Mabel with a backdrop. He gets a sidewalk slam for a 2 count. Mabel with a slam and goes for a second rope splash. IRS shakes the ropes to knock Mabel off and get the pin. Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji bring the cameras in to show the preparation for Crush and Yokozuna as they prepare for the Head Shrinkers. Tatanka versus Owen Hart. They start right away. Tatanka with an early offensive charge. Hart with a side headlock. Tatanka pushes off, and Hart comes back with a shoulder block. Tatanka with a series of arm drags. Tatanka back to the side headlock. Tatanka with a shoulder block when Hart pushes off. Hart throws Tatanka out, but he lands on his feet and they fight out to the floor. Hart knocks Tatanka out. They show Razor Ramon and IRS fighting in the back. Tatanka being choked on the second rope. He then gets run headfirst on the top rope. Hart with a suplex and a top rope drop kick for a 2 count. Hart with a chin lock. Tatanka gets out, but Hart gets the sleeper on. Tatanka goes down. He tries another comeback. He goes into his war dance. He attacks Hart. Tatanka chomps Hart. He DDTs Hart for a 2 count. Tatanka with a scoop slam and a chop from the top for another 2 count. Tatanka can't get the pin. Tatanka goes for a sunset flip, but Hart drops down to get the pin. Todd Pettengill interviews Diesel and Shawn Michaels. They reviewed Diesel's jackknife on Bret Hart. They say they aren't concerned about who the family member in Bret's corner will be. Jeff Jarrett versus the 1-2-3 Kid. Art says the Kid looks like a boxer. Kid goes after Jarrett, who bails out. Jarrett whips Kid into a turnbuckle. Kid with a quick roll-up for a 2 count. Jarrett with a clothesline. The crowd chants 1-2-3. Kid with another roll-up for a 2 count. Jarrett with a fist drop. Kid with a spin kick. He goes up top, but misses a cannonball when Jarrett moves. Jarrett misses a leapfrog body guillotine when Kid moves. Kid blocks a superplex attempt and gets a crossbody for a 2 count. Kid misses a corner charge. Jarrett goes after the knee of the Kid. Kid gets a small package for a 3 count. Jarrett pile drives Kid several times. Officials out to break it up. Jarrett keeps up the assault. They help Kid to the back. My favorite Art line of the night comes when Savage says the Kid is in the Final Four and Art says that he may be in the final phase. We get a WWF New Generation ad. Todd Pettengill interviews Bret Hart. Hart talks about the jackknife he received. He doesn't think Diesel can do it again. He says his record speaks for itself. WWF Championship match. Bret Hart with Jim Neidhart versus Diesel with Shawn Michaels. Diesel and Michaels out first. Diesel is Intercontinental Champ, but his title isn't on the line. Hart and Neidhart come out to a big ovation. Hart does his sunglasses presentation. The bell rings and they circle each other. They trade moves. Diesel with a series of punches to Hart in the corner. He chokes Hart with his leg. Hart comes back and crotches Diesel in the corner. Hart working on Diesel. Back and forth. Diesel with a slam. Hart runs Diesel headfirst into the corner. Diesel with some elbows to Hart. Diesel misses a corner charge when Hart moves. Hart is attacking the legs. He gets Diesel down. He then gets the figure 4 on Diesel. He fights it. But Hart gets a 2 count anyway as Diesel's shoulders go down. Gorilla jumps on referee Earl Hebner for it. But Hebner is right and Monsoon is wrong. You can be pinned while in a submission hold if your shoulders are down. I couldn't believe it when I heard Monsoon say that. I love Gorilla, but he was definitely wrong here. Diesel gets to the ropes. Hart goes back to work on the leg. He comes down on the leg. Diesel kicks Hart off and Hart falls to the outside. Hart runs Diesel's leg into the ring post. Michaels attacks Hart. Neidhart takes off after Michaels. Hebner stops him when he and Michaels get in the ring, allowing Michaels to attack Hart again. Hart comes off the top rope, but Diesel catches Hart. Diesel with a bear hug. Hart bites Diesel to get out and hits the drop kick. He then throws Diesel out of the ring. Hart with a tope, but Diesel moves out of the way. Diesel drives Hart into the ring post. Diesel attacks the back of Hart. He hits a corner whip. Diesel with a side suplex. He follows it up with a backbreaker. He then drops an elbow for a 2 count. Hebner gets tied up with Neidhart, allowing Michaels and Diesel to double team Hart. Hart ran chest first into the corner post. Hart with a roll up for a 2 count. Diesel with a chin lock. He gets a backbreaker for a 2 count. Michaels takes a turnbuckle pad off. Diesel has Hart in an over the shoulder backbreaker. Hart slips behind and turns it into a sleeper. Diesel falls backwards into the corner to break the hold. Hart gets his foot up on a corner charge. Hart ran into Hebner. Hart blocks being run into the exposed buckle and runs Diesel in instead. Hart is unloading on Diesel. Diesel is reeling and finally falls down. Hart knocks him down again with a series of clotheslines for a 2 count. He follows it up with a neck breaker and a second rope elbow. Another 2 count. He gets a bulldog and goes for the sharpshooter. Michaels gets on the apron and Hart punches him off. Hart with another clothesline. Hart with a small package for a 2 count. Hart corner whipped. Diesel hits a big boot. Hart gets Diesel down and goes for the sharpshooter, but Diesel gets to the ropes. Diesel knocked outside and attacks Neidhart. Michaels hits Hart with the WWF title while Hebner is distracted. Diesel drops an elbow and gets a 2 count. Diesel jackknifes Hart and Neidhart attacks Diesel for the disqualification. Michaels and Diesel continue to attack Hart after the match. Officials out to break it up. Todd Pettengill interviews Jerry Lawler. Lawler runs down Pettengill, Art Donovan, and then Roddy Piper. King of the Ring semifinal. Razor Ramon versus IRS. They start brawling as soon as IRS gets in the ring. They trade shots. IRS gets a 1 count. He follows it up with a backbreaker. IRS falls out of the ring after Ramon drops down. They battle on the outside. Ramon runs IRS into the ring steps. They trade shots again. IRS with a chin lock. He uses the ropes for leverage. Ramon gets to his feet. He breaks the hold. Ramon with a back elbow. IRS ran into the corner. Ramon throws IRS down by his tie. IRS comes back with a forearm. Back and forth. Ramon hits the razor's edge to get the pin. Bret Hart is looking for Jim Neidhart back in the locker room area. Todd Pettengill updates the brackets and says no one has heard from the 1-2-3 Kid. Owen Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid. Hart out first. Kid doesn't come out right away. He finally comes out. Hart attacks immediately. He throws Kid into the ring. He hits a flying splash for a 2 count. Kid hits a reverse crossbody for a 2 count. This match is fast and furious. Hart with an enziguri for a 2 count. Kid with a Northern Light suplex for a 2 count. Kid with a suicide dive to Hart. Hart with a Northern Light suplex. It's hard to take notes for this because it's so fast. Hart with a sharpshooter to get the pin. Roddy Piper talks about taking on Jerry Lawler. Piper is ripped here. WWF Tag Team Championship match. The Head Shrinkers Samu and Fatu with Alpha and Captain Lou Albano versus Yokozuna and Crush with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette. All 4 in the ring and face to face. They all start to brawl. They all headbutt each other. Head Shrinkers clear the area. Yoko and Samu start. They shove each other. Yoko slapping Samu in the corner. Samu comes back. Yoko knocked out again. Crush and Fatu tagged in. Crush slams Fatu with a pile driver and a flying headbutt for a 2 count. Fuji hits Fatu with a flagpole and Crush hits a clothesline for a 1 count. Yoko in with a splash. Samu breaks up the cover. Crush back in with a nerve hold. He slams Fatu. Yoko tagged in and misses a corner charge. Samu and Crush both in. Now all 4 men are in. Double thrust kick to Yoko. Yoko thrown into a ring post that crotches Samu on the top rope. Crush with a superplex on Samu. Yoko with a leg drop. Lex Luger comes to ringside to a massive pop. He distracts Crush and Samu gets a 2 count. A thrust kick and Samu gets the pin. Crush attacks Luger after the match. They brawl in the ring. Todd Pettengill talks to Owen Hart. He says tonight, Bret was a loser and he is going to be the king. King of the Ring final, Razor Ramon versus Owen Hart. Ramon out first. Hart comes out and he is angry. They lock up and Ramon with a shot. Hart goes down. They trade holds. They then trade moves. Ramon drops an elbow. Hart goes for a drop kick, but Ramon turns it into a slingshot. Hart bridges out of a pin attempt. Ramon with a backslide for a 2 count. Hart with a spinning heel kick. Art now thinks Hart will win. Hart with an abdominal stretch. Ramon hip locks out of it. Ramon with a choke slam for a 2 count. Ramon with a fallaway slam. He gets another 2 count. Hart with a side Russian leg sweep. Hart goes up top, but gets caught. Ramon hits a top rope belly to back suplex. He goes for the razor's edge, but Hart gets a backdrop. Ramon falls outside the ring. Jim Neidhart comes down and attacks Ramon while Hart distracts referee Joey Morella. Hart hits an elbow drop and pins Ramon to become the king of the ring. Hart and Neidhart attack Ramon after the match. Ray Rougeau tries to interview Bret Hart, but he has no comment. Todd Pettengill does the coronation ceremony for Owen Hart. Hart says now everyone should respect him as king. Jack Tunney is there to present the cape and crown, but Hart wants Neidhart to do it. He gives Hart the scepter, cape, and crown. Hart proclaims himself the King of Hearts. Flashback to what led up to the main event. Main event, Jerry Lawler versus Roddy Piper. Lawler out first and puts down the crowd. Piper played out by a bagpipe crew. Piper comes out with the Piper impersonator who Lawler humiliated on Raw. Piper does his kick ass and chew bubblegum line. Piper attacks Lawler. He bites Lawler in the corner. Lawler's begging off. Lawler gets hit and bails out. Piper goes after him and throws him back in the ring. He continues the assault. He beats Lawler down. Lawler tries to come back but gets caught. Piper atomic drops Lawler out of the ring. Lawler goes after the Kid, but Piper attacks him and throws him into the barricade. He chops Lawler. Lawler grabs the Kid. He gains the advantage over Piper and the Kid. Piper gets the Kid out, but keeps getting pounded by Lawler. He keeps up the offense and knocks Piper down. He gets a 2 count. Lawler gets the sleeper on. Piper is fighting it. He fades. The hand doesn't go down 3 times. He comes back. He is out on his feet. Lawler hits a pile driver. He only gets a 2 count. Lawler punches Piper on the ropes. He keeps getting up. Piper with an eye poke. He hits a bulldog. He hits the second one. Lawler pushes Piper into referee Earl Hebner. Lawler hits Piper with something he pulled out of his trunks. Lawler covers Piper with his feet on the ropes, but the Kid pushes them off. Piper with a belly-to-back suplex to get the pin. The crowd celebrates. They recap what happened before signing off from Baltimore. They end with Shawn Michaels telling Diesel his future looks bright. Final thoughts. Weird show. They had McMahon out with a surgery in his federal trial. Art was what Art was. Joey's about to be killed and Gorilla would never be the same, and they pushed the new generation with two guys in their 40s in the main event. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.